Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Sex trafficking been getting a lot of attention in the news, rightfully so. That's one of the big concerns about having a wide open border, and you're hearing horror stories about these rings being busted up, or they found some home that had a whole bunch of people in it. And fortunately, there's a lot of organizations doing what they can to help the survivors and try and sort of rehabilitate people back into the normal world. One of them around here is Ranch Hands Rescue and Bob's House of Hope. Bob Williams is joining us. And first off, how did you get into this type of work? This seems like some heart-wrenching stuff you have to deal with.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm an avid listener. So, we started back in 2007 with an animal sanctuary and a counseling program. We do something very unique. We partner animals that are abused and neglected, primarily with kids that have been sexually abused, in mental health therapy. And that program has been going on for years, and we've got 16 years now with Ranch Hands Rescue. And about 5 or 6 years ago, Governor Abbott convened a group of individuals. He wanted to know how big the problem was of boys being sex trafficked in Texas. And so there was a group of us that went to Austin, and it was made up of FBI and, other law enforcement agencies and some NGOs and judges and different people. And there wasn't a ton of data. And so as we started to research this, we realized that there was not one safe house in the country for boys that have been sex trafficked. Bob's House of Hope is the first. We opened in June of 2021, and still the only safe house in the country for boys that have been sex trafficked.
In the whole country?
Right, in the whole country.
All right, so it's been my experience that a lot of people who are involved in just really tough nonprofit work like this, charity work like this, are usually inspired by some sort of experience of their own. Do you have some sort of background? Did it happen to like your mom or your sister or one of your kids? Or if you don't mind me asking, do you have a personal connection to this issue?
Yeah, I was one of these boys. I was raped at 17, and my father was, retired military. Mom was a school teacher. And, when my dad picked me up from the hospital, I spent 10 days in the hospital. He said, "You're just going to man up, and we're never going to talk about this again." And I was going into my senior year of high school, and I couldn't process it. And so I turned to drugs and alcohol. I struggled for almost 13 years, homeless by the time I was 20. And so I understand, the definition of human trafficking is the sale of human bodies through force, fraud, or coercion. And in those days, it wasn't called trafficking, but it is today, right? And so I know what it's like to be passed around. I know what it's like to be used. I know what it's like to be manipulated. And as I said, I know what it's like to have survival sex, especially when you're homeless. So that was how I wanted to do something good. I was lucky. I tell everybody I was one of the lucky ones with all the pain and suffering that I had. Even in my deepest, darkest days, I was able to turn my life around. I got clean and sober. I had an incredible career with Motorola, and I retired. I had a stroke in 2007 and retired. And when the neurosurgeon came in, the first thing he said to me is, "What's your history of drug and alcohol abuse?" Because they saw it on my brain. And it was then that I decided I was going to retire, and I wanted to do something good with whatever time I had left. And so when I started the animal sanctuary for special needs animals on the counseling program, I thought, wow, this is really cool. We can save a lot of animals that have special needs, because they were like me, they were the throwaways. Back in those days, they would just euthanize them if they seized them for abuse and neglect, because the cost to rehabilitate them was too much. And I thought, well, we can save them. We can help them. That'll be our mission. And then when we started the counseling program, it's kind of like magic, because I was diagnosed with PTSD and high anxiety in 1997. And so I noticed that there was this effect that these animals were having on me, and this bond that was developed, because back then it was just myself, taking care of them. And so, at any rate, we developed this program. We started with the Children's Advocacy Centers. It was a huge success. And today we have 28 partner agencies that we work with in the Metroplex that we provide free or subsidized services to victims. And 80% are kids that have been sexually abused that need a different or more alternative approach to mental health. And 20% are what we call other. And that is, adult women, sex trafficking survivors, veterans with severe PTSD and anxiety. We do work for CASA, a whole bunch of different agencies.
What do you credit with your turnaround? How did you break your cycle?
I think it's God. I was raised in a Christian family, and I hated my dad for years because I couldn't understand why he couldn't help me. And, when I did make amends with my dad, he had tears in his eyes, and he said, "I loved you so much, I didn't know how to help you." My dad was married to my mom for 58 years. And she never knew, none of us knew until he passed away, that he was awarded the Bronze Star and all of his medals that we found in his personal papers. And, that was just a different generation. You know what I mean? They didn't know how to talk about it. And certainly nobody talked about this happening to boys. Today we know so much more. Predators are in your children's bedrooms. They're in their living rooms.
They're in their phone.
To them.
Yeah,
that's right. They're talking to them on their phones, and they prey on vulnerable children. And so, the fact that this whole thing, this with boys, is now coming to light. Under Trump, the Department of Justice did a study, and they said in 2019, 36% of human trafficking victims are boys and young men. And ECPAT, which is a worldwide organization, said 38% of human trafficking victims are boys and young men. Both studies say it's extremely underreported and could be up to 50% of human trafficking victims are boys and young men. And the reality is that it's not talked about. And the reality is that people have their heads in the sand thinking that this doesn't happen to boys and young men.
Bob, I remember reading statistics that most years more men are raped than women.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know if that's true, you know what I mean, in terms of the sexual abuse.
I looked it up. You have to count the prison population, but if you include the prisoners, then statistically it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and that doesn't surprise me in the least. I think the problem is that right now society has to recognize that we have, we've seen a lot of differences in the boys. One of the things that we notice is that there's this, the torture is worse with boys and young men.
All right, Bob, you're breaking my heart. We're running out of time. If someone needs help or someone knows someone that needs help, how do they find you?
bobshouseofhope.org. Real simple, or they can reach out to us at 940-240-0500.
Thank you very much. This is Bob Williams. I meant to do this one. Sorry. Bob Williams, Bob's House of Hope. Appreciate it, sir.
God bless.
Whew, we got real serious for a second here on the James Show, but important topic. If you need some help, for the love of God, get it. If you know someone that needs help, try and point them in that direction. That is just awful. All right, coming up next, I think you need to be updated on this Daniel Penny trial. You remember that name? That's the guy who, when some crazy homeless dude was threatening people on a subway, he choked him out and accidentally killed him. His trial just started. Some new information on that I think you're going to find interesting coming up in 5 minutes on the James Show. 800-288-9227 if you want to call in. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Last year, a homeless man having a bad day, and he got on a subway car, and he was telling everyone he had a bad day. And I'm not just saying a metaphor. He said he had a bad day, that he doesn't care what happens today. He doesn't care about going to jail, but someone's dying today. Now, in a packed subway with men, women, children, there was a woman with a baby stroller even. He starts lunging at people and making threats and acting like he's going to hurt somebody. Starts throwing stuff. And Daniel Penny steps up. A man steps up. A good Samaritan steps up. And while he is harassing a woman who's trying to hide behind her baby stroller, Daniel Penny takes him to the ground and puts him in a chokehold. And he says, I'm just going to keep you here until the cops can come and take care of you themselves. And in the middle of it, the guy goes limp. And so Daniel Penny says, good, I can let go and just wait for the cops to come here. There was another bystander there that was helping hold the guy's arm still while Daniel Penny had him in a chokehold because he's trying to hit him, And so that other guy, some dude just walking up named Eric, after he let go of him, he checked and he says, at least he testified in court, that he felt a faint pulse on the victim after he had let go and before the cops had got there. Now, when the cops got there, they didn't feel nothing. They did CPR. He didn't come back. And now Daniel Penny is facing 15 years in prison for manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. Well, they're doubling up on him. It's unfortunate this guy died. I do not celebrate the death of any of one of God's creatures here on earth. But this is an unfortunate kind of play stupid games, win stupid prizes situation where there wasn't going to be a winner. There was just going to be a loser. Now, a lot of people, when they see this story, have the same reaction you and I did. This guy's a good Samaritan. Not only is he not a criminal, he's a hero. If you were raising a kid and they happened to be on the subway, you would want your kid to be Daniel Penny. You wouldn't want him to be the crazy homeless guy that's threatening the mother, that has like an infant in a stroller, or threatening the old couple that was across from her. That's not what you would want. Daniel Penny's the role model. Daniel Penny did what's right. Daniel Penny put himself in danger, not just mortal danger, not just physical danger, but now legal danger, in order to make sure those people in his immediate vicinity, no matter what creed, what color, what religion, what gender they are, he just wanted to make sure his neighbors were safe. It was a selfless act. It's unfortunate this guy died in the process, but there's no evidence that this was a malicious chokehold. Daniel Penny's just some murderer, some bloodthirsty racist murderer who's like, oh, good, I can take out a person of color for sport, and the criminal justice system will let me go because of my white privilege. Race never came up in the dialogue. Race never came up in the evidence. But if you go to the Wikipedia page for this death right here, it describes it. Daniel Penny, white man who choked and killed a black man, Jordan Neely. And then it goes on like that. That's unfortunate. Why does race get inserted into this? Because if the races were reversed, would you even know about this case? Or you don't even have to say if the races were reversed. What if they were both white? Or what if they were both black? Would you even hear about this case? I'm not so sure. And this is also a super important case, not just because shows a clear inconsistency in racial-based reporting here, but it's also got the gun control crowd's attention. Because the gun control crowd said, you should be able to defend yourself just fine without a gun. You don't need to have a gun. You don't need to carry a gun to be safe. Okay, now we see a guy actually defending himself without a gun, and you're still mad. Sounds like you just don't want people to defend themselves. Sounds like if there's a crazy person threatening violence, you just have to sit there and take a beating or take a stabbing or take a whatever until the cops show up. Is that it? You just don't want people to defend themselves? You just want to discourage that? Because the media coverage on this is sick. They sound like they're ready to convict him. If you go watch a reporting on ABC or CBS or NBC, just the main ones, they keep focusing on the fact that it was an unarmed black homeless guy. It's like, why do you keep putting in these sympathetic adjectives here that you're trying to engender sympathy for the guy? He held the chokehold too long. Okay. That's right. Worse than a bear. Fine. Go ahead. Prosecute Daniel Penny. Discourage future Good Samaritans. Tell all the men of America and tell all the people who otherwise would be helping keep their neighbors safe. Don't do it. Just let them suffer. Let your neighbors suffer. It's not worth it. If you interject, the system will come after you, not defend you. So really, here's the question. Is society better or worse off if we discourage people from defending each other? That seems pretty cut and dry. Will prosecuting Daniel Penny discourage Good Samaritans? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome back to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I'm going to play you a little soundbite, and you're going to be like, whoa, that's interesting. Because Megyn Kelly was just doing a normal little show, and they talked about this briefly and then moved on. And I was just kind of thinking, hang on, man, that's a really big deal. The fact that, you present the few interviews that she did as, well, I guess Kamala Harris is going to go sit down with Al Sharpton, or Kamala Harris is going to go sit down with, what was the podcast or whatever. And they're just going to have a little chat, and we're going to see if we can get to the truth here. We're going to see if we can get to the bottom of this mystery. But she's talking, Megyn Kelly's talking with Bill Ackman. He's the big CEO on Wall Street. And this was on, I think this was her Yesterday show. And check out the sums of money that are being thrown around. This is starting to get suspicious here. I'm not saying necessarily that this is abnormal and illegal, but doesn't this sound wrong?
And for MSNBC, Bill, I don't know if you saw the story. It's absolutely incredible. We've been talking about some of these crazy donations the Harris campaign made to get these endorsements. You know, they reportedly paid $5 million to Megan Thee Stallion. Somehow Oprah's production company got $1 million to build that set. I mean, I'm in TV. It doesn't cost $1 million to build even the fanciest set. It just doesn't. $100,000 to the sex podcaster to make her hotel room look. No, that doesn't cost $100,000. It doesn't. At most, that would cost maybe $20,000. I don't know where all this money went or why they spent so willingly and irresponsibly. Al Sharpton, who not only runs the National Action Network, that's his nonprofit organization, which is very sketchy to begin with. He hosts a show on MSNBC. And it just came out today via the Free Beacon, which is a great group, Chuck Ross there, that her campaign donated $500,000 to his nonprofit weeks before Harris went to sit with him for an interview on MSNBC. I'm dying from the conflict of interest. I'm dead. It happened. Bill, this is like the bias is coming out of the ears. This is so irresponsible, unethical, and not allowed. It's so egregious. MSNBC is going to have to respond.
I don't think MSNBC is going to have to respond, but let me hear your thoughts. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Why would she need to pay Al Sharpton $500,000? She doesn't. Of course not. You think Trump paid Joe Rogan to go on the Joe Rogan show? Of course not. You think Trump paid anybody who interviewed him? You think when he went and sat down with any of these other platforms, there were hundreds of thousands of dollars exchanging hands? Of course not. Do you think he gave millions and millions and millions to Kid Rock for his endorsement? I don't know. They might have paid him to play at the Republican National Convention, but was it $5 million like Megan Thee Stallion got? How much was it? Let's compare it. Because if you're paying someone to interview you, ethically speaking, you don't even have to be a journalist to understand this. You create a conflict of interest. And you also change the nature of the interview if you pay. If you pay for your time, there's certain requirements in the broadcasting world that you're already you're aware of. You don't have to be an expert in the industry. How many times have you been sitting there and in the middle of the night, you just stay up a little too late and it's so late that the following is a paid program? You're supposed to announce it. You're supposed to announce it that this isn't just some honest actor trying to get to the truth. This is a paid setup. She didn't do that. You didn't hear it. This is a paid program. Before she was on the Al Sharpton show or did any of these other interviews that she paid for. Why would she need to give Oprah $1 million to build a set? No, that's not what it's for. Megyn Kelly's right. There's no such thing as a set. Just one set that costs $1 million. What would you have, the Jumbotron from the Dallas Cowboys Stadium in the background? Why would she need to give Oprah $1 million? And this isn't a rhetorical question. I don't know. I'm really asking you. What's going on there? 800-288-9227. She doesn't need to build a whole new set for the sex podcast that she went on. Why would she do that? Why would she overpay? I mean, did you even see the set? Oh, you're in front of a pink wall. What does that cost? $44 in paint, $13 in brushes. Woo. So where'd the rest of that money go? What was the rest of that money buying? Was she buying favorable coverage? Was she, and the other part of that, that's the pull, here's the push. What was she telling all these donors the whole time? Was she telling them, we have internal polls that say we're neck and neck, we're close? See all what they're saying on the news? I can win this thing. Give me some more money. No, it won't be wasted. It's so close. Did she have any polls that were telling the truth? Did she have any polls that were betraying the fact that she was about to lose in what is an electoral college landslide? Because if she did, but she was telling the donors that it was neck and neck and she had a chance to win, isn't that theft by fraud? A lot of questions coming up now. And the money's just not adding up. I mean, is this even worth pursuing? Look, I'm not saying people need to go to jail. I'm just, in future election cycles, just remember who lies to donors and who overpays for celebrity endorsements and who has to pay to get favorable coverage from people who are already on their side. I think they're just burning themselves with future donors. Let's get the word out. Look into that. But something there, that's why I wish I was a lawyer sometimes. It feels illegal. And I know that's not supposed to be a thing. What do you think? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Was that Kamala Harris campaign? Was there a big element of grift in there? 800-288-9227. Coming up next, the fact that a kid's toy had an adult website on it. Was that really an accident? We'll talk about it next on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Did you hear the story? They're doing the prequel to the Wizard of Oz. Ariana Grande's in it, which I know you probably thought Ariana Grande was the number 3 at Taco Bell, but no, it's the singer girl that used to be on Nickelodeon. Had a bunch of hits since then. If you don't know her, your kids know her. Hell, maybe your grandkids know her. I don't know how old you are. But it looks like it might be okay. I'm sort of interested in this. I hope it doesn't stink. But in the merchandising that goes along with it, someone slipped one past the goalie. So the movie's called Wicked. And on the box, it said wicked.com was the website. But that's not the website for the movie. The website for the movie is wickedthemovie.com. Wicked.com goes to what may be my next guest. I think, is this your favorite website? Wicked.com is for adult films, if I'm not mistaken. But Scott Baradell back on The James Show. Whoops.
No comment. No comment on that question.
Okay, Scott, let me ask you. You're a guy who deals with, marketing and such things. And you think this was an accident, or you think someone was trying to be cutesy? Because we've seen this happen in the arena before, where they sneak in phallic symbols on the cover of the Little Mermaid's VHS box and things like that. Do you think this is an accident?
Well, I mean, Mattel said it was an accident, and we don't have any evidence otherwise, but that's not going to stop the conspiracy theorists. It's Hollywood and children, and Hollywood is always, trying to ruin the children and Diddy parties and everything else. So it falls right into that line of conspiracy theories.
Did it actually make it out to market?
Oh, yeah, it did. And they had to pull them off the shelves.
Oh, my goodness.
In fact, they gave instructions to, hey, throw out your box. But they said also, if you just were so turned off that you just wanted to return the toy, the doll, that you could do that. So there's going to be this period of time where they're not on shelves, which is, of course, not ideal with the movie starting. So,
yeah. Well, if you put an adult website on a kid's toy, does that make it an adult toy? I couldn't resist, man. I have 4 kids. I have to make dad jokes. Scott Baradell, if a small business makes a boo-boo like this, like if you're in charge of something like this, is it better to just own up to it or try and sweep it under the rug?
Oh, no, you definitely have to own up to it, which is, I think, what Mattel did. And, it hasn't been the first mess up they've had. They put out some product back in August that gave away early, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo singing songs from the movie, which was before it was supposed to happen. So
what's wrong with that?
Well, it was supposed to be timed with when the people behind the movie wanted to happen, and so Mattel has been a little out of sync with the movie. And there's been other stuff too, like the whole controversy over the movie poster, and that
I don't know that one.
That one was the original Broadway musical, the movie poster, the Wicked Witch. She was her Wicked Witch hat was over her face, and you had Glinda, the Good Witch, talking into her ear. In the new movie poster, it's similar to that, except you have Elphaba, who is the quote unquote Wicked Witch, looking directly forward. And you had a lot of fans that said, I like the original movie, the original play, that poster better. And so they did their own fan versions of this with the hat covering her face. Well, that would have been, I guess, not that big a deal, except the actress got really offended, and she said she felt erased, and she felt like she was being the fans were being cruel to her, and this is how people are today. They always get upset about everything.
Yeah, it feels like when you wade into any kind of touchy subject, whatever you do, someone's going to complain. So you kind of want to do what's going to get the least amount of complaints. Yeah,
and it never hurts to apologize, and just apologize. That works in my marriage too. Just always apologize. Stay out of trouble.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm sure I am sorry. I am absolutely the worst. Well, look, on the flip side, a lot of people have pointed out that if you did get your hands on one of these boo-boos, that this could be a collector's item that's worth $1 bazillion one day.
Well, maybe not bazillion, but certainly you'll be able to sell it on eBay at a profit at some point. It's certainly it's going to be a fun trivia story. And if this movie becomes a big success, and there's a lot of people thinking it's going to do really well, despite some of these hurdles that it's run into, it'll make it even more valuable.
I mean, do people even go to websites that are on a box like that? I don't think I've ever bought a toy and be like, I need to hit this website up.
Yeah, that's a really funny point. Probably no one ever, and so it's a controversy over nothing ultimately, but that's how it is.
All right, where do we find your work outside of WBAP, Scott?
Well, my agency is Idea Grove, which is ideagrove.com.
Easy enough. Thank you very much. See how good he is at branding there? Ideagrove.com. Thank you, Scott. That cracks me up. All right, so we have a local woman who had her pet monkey seized, and now the sanctuary is not going to give it back to her. I got a little distracted because I didn't know we had an awesome monkey sanctuary in Fort Worth, and I can have my birthday party there. I mean, they act like it's for little kids. I'm a grown man. I'd like to have my birthday party at a monkey sanctuary. Some monkey news coming up next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. One thing you need to know about me is I love monkeys. They are so cool. They are so fun. And as far as pets go, this is the closest thing you can have to like a little miniature human. You know, they actually can. They have opposable thumbs. They can grab things. They make expressions. Their face looks like, I don't know. You're probably cute. It kind of looks like mine. Like there's a lot of monkeys. It's like that. I can see myself coming from that. I kind of have a monkey-ish visage. And I've always thought they would be cool pets. I even knew briefly had like an acquaintance, like it was a relative of a friend that had a monkey, and I got to play with it every once in a while. And I understand I probably couldn't handle a monkey with my busy lifestyle because monkeys, or the one I knew, like had to wear a diaper and everything. And I don't know if you want to keep up with all that. And if you think it's hard to get a dog sitter, try getting a monkey sitter. But that being said, it's always been a dream of mine to have a monkey, and also, just as an aside, a pygmy goat. I've always been in love with them as well, and one day, fingers crossed, I'll get to be the proud owner of a pygmy goat. But monkeys, how awesome are they? How much do you love monkeys? How fun is it to have a monkey? Well, there's a girl in Irving who's in trouble. She has a monkey. She's had him for a while, and she's been making TikTok videos, and he's got a little bit of a following there. He's sort of a famous monkey, believe it or not. Well, that sounds cool. So what do we need to know here? Well, Georgie Boy is the monkey's name, and he got taken from his mom. His mom got in a fender bender, and they sent him to the sanctuary while they sent her to the pokey. And it turns out once he got to the sanctuary, it's a place called the Funky Monkey Ranch. It's over by Burleson in unincorporated Tarrant County. They got the monkey and they said, hang on a second, this monkey is not really well taken care of. We know our monkeys over here. We're the Funky Monkey Ranch. And at 3 years old, this guy should be about 12 pounds or more. This monkey's 6 pounds. And so they did an x-ray on the monkey. It turns out his bones have tiny little fractures, which sort of betray the fact that the Georgie boy has some sort of metabolic bone disease, poor nutrition, lack of vitamin D. I don't know. Maybe he should have been drinking his milk when he was growing up. I don't know. But that's what the sanctuary is claiming, and they're not necessarily going to give him back. So I don't know how this is going to work out. Maybe they can put her through some classes and say, listen, as it stands, your care of Georgie boy has fallen short. Here's what you can do to improve it. Now, please, proper nutrition, proper care. If you have any questions, let us know. And the idea that they could just hold on to this girl's monkey and not have to give it back until, they feel like she can handle it. I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. I realize their heart is in the right place. They're concerned about the well-being of the monkey, and they don't see in fact, there's a quote in the Dallas Morning News: primates are not pets. People think monkeys are fun and cute, and they treat them like accessories. Well, I think you're all wrong. Number one, I think primates are pets. I mean, what are they besides that? Are they a human being that deserves their full complement of rights? Would you let a monkey drive a car? No, of course not. Would you let a monkey vote or buy a pack of smokes? No, you can't let a monkey buy Marlboro Reds. So no, they're not full-fledged human beings. They have to be owned by somebody, because if they break a window, it's not going to be the monkey who pays for it. Someone has to be accountable for it. They have to be a ward of someone. They're not like an autonomous being. Or if they're going to be living in Irving, they're not in the wild. And then he says people think monkeys are fun and cute and they treat them like accessories. Well, monkeys are fun and cute. Thank you very much. So no, people don't think monkeys are fun and cute. They are fun and cute. But this has been making the rounds on social media. They say that after the car crash on early Saturday morning, you know what that means in real talk. It was really late Friday night. So I have a little bit of concern for the monkey's owner. Her name's Brandy Botello. She had to be taken to the hospital after she crashed. It was a one-car crash, so she is facing DWI charges. I don't know if she had been drinking or not. I don't know what her blood alcohol content level was. I don't even think it says so in this whole story. If it did, whatever. I'm concerned about the monkey. So Botello, the mom there, the human mom, her and her videos of Georgie boy have enough of a following that she's raised a GoFundMe, $4,000 as of the time of this Dallas Morning News article. Over 40,000 followers are now following this the story with the hashtag Free Georgie Boy. So that's pretty cool. I don't understand this next paragraph from the Dallas Morning News article. This doesn't sound like it can be true, but I'll read it to you and you can just slap yourself on the forehead. Some of Botello's 40,000 followers have shared her post with the hashtag Free Georgie Boy. The monkey saga even led to the development of Georgie Boy themed cryptocurrency coins, sparking more than $1 million in trades. People have exchanged over $1 million over a cryptocurrency based on a confiscated monkey from Friday. How does that work? It hadn't even been a week. More than $1 million has traded hands? Did $1 worth of this coin trade hands a million times, or some combination of the two? That's all I can take out of that, but I don't know what to think about that. Here I am with a radio show on what is the biggest talk station in Texas. I should say news talk, because the Ticket's actually the biggest talk station in Texas, and God bless him for that. The biggest news talk station in Texas. I'm not sure if I could raise $4,000 for my DWI case if I had a fundraiser, and I'm not going to test you with that one either. How about we just leave that one in the hypothetical forever? But I'll be following this for you. And I'm going to try, and I already asked Garrett, we want to have someone on from the Funky Monkey Ranch, because I went to the website of this place. I was like, whoa, there's a monkey sanctuary that close. And it turns out that they have events. They have like an event space. You can have parties at the monkey sanctuary. In fact, they have a traveling program where they can bring the monkeys to you. What? Oh, my goodness. Yes. They can go to your event, and of course, they try and put like an educational spin on it. You know, we can share fun facts and let your guests hand feed the monkeys, and it'll be an educational experience. They are USDA licensed exhibitors. We have a license for that. Hey, somebody call Elon Musk. Hey, Elon, I got a program you could cut, the USDA licensing program for monkey exhibitors. That I think that's a level of fat at the federal level we could live without. And if you insist on licensing your monkey exhibitors, can we at least do it at the state level? Do we have to have the overarching federal program for it? This is something that has to be centralized in DC. So yeah. Hopefully I'll be able to bring you more about Funky Monkey Ranch tomorrow, because I am sick, irrationally obsessed with monkeys. They are so adorable, and now I want one so bad. All right, thank you very much for hanging out with the James Show. Stick around. Coming up next, Mark Levin. If you need more James Show action, I'm about to go cut up the podcast and put it up, WBAP.com, WBAP app, and wherever you're already listening to podcasts, just go search for it. It'll probably pop up. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.